now it's time for the easy part. Hi guys, thank you so much for being here. Today I'm somewhere a little bit different. I'm in my library in my house. Okay, obviously not, but you know, a girl can dream. I am today in John Rylands Library. Now this looks like a cathedral, but it's not, and that's a big reason why I love it. It looks so gothic and detailed and traditional and just artistic. But this is a neo-gothic library. This opened to the public on the 1st of January 1990, and it was commissioned by Enriqueta Rylans in memory of her husband. This truly is an artwork of a building, and it ties in really nicely on why I'm here today, because I'm going to be making a new product for my Etsy shop, a medieval, gothic, beautiful to-do list. Now, I love being organized, but I wasn't always this organized. In high school, in uni, I used to just, for some reason, refuse to write anything down, and I would just keep everything in my head. So plans, deadlines, schedules, and obviously having autism and just generally being human, it doesn't work like that. And then I tried being organized the digital way. I tried using my iPad notes app, but it just wasn't working for me. So I finally landed on physical stuff. I have a big chunky planner, which says my big plans for the future. I feel like when things are cute, I want to use them more. I'm much better at remembering when it's physically in front of me and I can see it and I can visualize it. Especially because my work is so digital, it's nice to have something physical. And of course I also have like moleskins for journaling, getting into detail of my thoughts, but I don't have like a dedicated to-do list notepad. So I thought, why not make one for my Etsy while I'm at it? So I'm going to take you guys on the whole journey, how I take a product from start to finish for my small art business on Etsy. And actually I think I'm going to need to make a to-do list for my to-do list. So let's start there. So at the start of every project, before I even pick up my pencil to start illustrating, I like to mind map all the different kind of options I have for the product I'm about to make and kind of decide on those big things. So size, packaging, what do I even want the product to be? You know, do I want it to be a notepad? I landed on making a to-do list. It's going to be A6, it's going to be full color, and it's going to be packaged with a bit of twine to kind of fit with the handmade, medieval kind of vibe. Then it's time to turn over the page and start sketching. So I always try and do as many different versions of an illustration sketch as possible, but I do at least 3 kind of shortlisted designs and pick from those. So I make these sketches loose. I'm just trying to focus on composition and kind of layout only, and I really want my to-do list to reflect all of the details and beauty seen in this building. I took a lot of inspiration by the details, the floral themes seen throughout the ceiling, the chairs, the walls, and the general gothic medieval aesthetic that I'm going for. Now, you're not going to believe this, but just as I was about to leave, I saw a presentation being done for this 12th century book of Revelations, which was commissioned by the royal family at the time. This just blew my mind. Like, this is all handmade. I can't even comprehend that. This is the exact inspiration I need before illustrating my to-do list. So I'll let the expert do the talking, because honestly, this guy knew his stuff. The whole time I was just sat there recording like this.
Especially blue. It comes from things like, for example, lapis lazuli. It's like a rare stone you can mine in like the Middle East and also in South America later on. And then sometimes they're indigo dyes, so it comes from like plants and flowers, which is a lot cheaper than getting those stones. They've even sort of replicated the gold leaf. So gold leaf illumination would really sort of reflect the candlelight back at you. And again, literally, it's sort of giving this sense that it's imbued with the power of God. If you're sat in a monastery looking at this late at night, it would seem really sort of magical to you. Seen here, I can't remember because there's something to do with the illuminations. This might actually be Jesus, but sometimes you see this figure and it's actually the Antichrist. So, you know, he appears as Jesus and people mistake him for Christ.
I feel so lucky I was able to see that book today, and just before I started illustrating too, I'm going to try and take inspiration from the color palette, the themes. All right, I'm itching to start illustrating. Let's go. It's illustration time. So I use Clip Studio Paint. The way that blends and makes things look so like realistic and analog, I really love that. So first, I'm just setting up my document, making sure it's the right size, resolution, and color space, which I will talk about in the next section of this video in more detail. And then I'm just setting up the layout of my to-do list. So what do I want the border to look like? How much space do I want to leave for the actual writing part of the notepad? Then I'm just sketching out the lines, making sure they're all the same width, all the same size, and then it's time to get sketching. So for this sketching part, first, I'm going to just sketch in black and white. It's really easy to tell, like, is somewhere too cluttered? Are things like overlapping in an awkward way? It's really clear to see this when there's no color and it's just black and white. Now for this illustration, there are so many references and so much inspiration from the John Rylands Library and the book that we saw earlier as well. I'm making sure to include lots of vines and flowers and petals interlocking with each other because I noticed that's a very core piece of medieval design. I'm also using the scroll to be in the center to hold the title Daily Quests. I think it would motivate me for sure to get stuff done. So after filming, I did actually spend a lot more time on this illustration, adding color. This is what the final one looked like. Again, taking a lot of inspiration from the book that we saw earlier. I am sticking to the kind of medieval color palette, so blues, reds, and a lot of gold kind of sprinkled throughout to emulate that gold leaf. This illustration from start to finish took me 6 hours. Also, I probably went through about 20 different color iterations before I landed on this one. But yeah, I'm happy with how it looks. Little snack time. This kind of looks like candy corn, doesn't it? But it is papaya. But I've actually never tried candy corn, but I've heard it's horrible, so let's not compare the two. Okay guys, so that's the illustration part done now. So now it's time for the easy part. Well, and I'm getting out my laptop and it's time to set up the print files for the to-do lists to be ready to be sent to the printer. So I'm going to be using Affinity. I used to use Photoshop, Adobe, but it's expensive, It's like £50 a month and I do not have that kind of money. So I use Affinity. I'd say it's an excellent substitute. This is where my history as a graphic designer is really helpful because there are some things to consider when you are getting a file ready for print. So you want your color space to be CMYK. This essentially means that the colors you are working with are print friendly, so the printer can replicate those colors. Also, we want to make sure the resolution is in at least 300 dpi. This means dots per inch, and that determines the resolution, the clearness, the sharpness of what you are printing. I could really talk about print for ages. There's so much to think about. It can get really complicated, but for projects like this, there's not too much to think about. We just want to make sure those settings, such as DPI resolution and color space, are correct. It is the final leg of the journey. We're almost done. It's time to make and package my product now, take photos, and then have it all ready to upload to Etsy. So this to-do list is going to include 40 loose sheets because I'm making it all myself by hand. So I'm kicking back, I'm getting into the swing of things with my paper trimmer and I'm just going for it. It's kind of therapeutic, to be honest, stacking all the papers and just working through the pile. Then I'm doing a quick quality control test, so just making sure there's enough space to actually write stuff on as well. And I also did make sure that the ink kind of doesn't bleed through to the other side and get all blotchy and messy. And it was all good, it passed the test. So I'm getting all the pages here, stacking them up and tying them together with twine. I'm keeping the packaging quite simple, again, going with the medieval theme. I feel like less is more, and sticking with these kind of natural colors, I think fits the whole vibe really well. I feel like it's something that you would really use like back in the day. Then I'm just taking loads and loads of photos of my product in different lightings, different textures, backgrounds, and showing what it looks like close up, with packaging, without, just every single angle, so that customers can get a really good idea of what they are getting. And that's it. Now it's just time to upload to Etsy. I do like to take my time, making sure I'm including all the right kind of descriptions, making sure the right people can find what they're looking for, especially because it's quite a niche thing. But I'm really happy with how this looks. This is my first time adding stationery to my shop, and I'd love to expand the series. I think next I'm going to make a little memo desk notepad kind of situation. And let me know if you guys have any other ideas. I'm kind of new to this world of stationery. I learned a lot. I hope this is helpful for you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I will see you next week. Bye! hard to record in a quiet library. I hate to be that person, but I'm that person.